Okay, we're live. Bourbon Brothers episode number 17. We took last week off because we were in person, got to
Enjoying
hang
some
out
bourbon.
finally for a change, enjoying lots and lots of bourbon. But here we are back again. Robert, after his long road trip touring the country and all the bourbon spots. So we'll just dive into it. Robert, good to see you again. The last time I saw you, it was literally in person, man. So, now here we are back to the usual connection.
Yeah, man, it was good. First off, thanks to Robbie, Carolina, and the rest of the crew at Pollen for hosting a hell of an event. It was a good time. Met some really cool people. Like you and I had met each other in person before and hung out. But getting to meet a few of the other people there, it was a really good time. And we had some late night shenanigans with Sean, Eddie, and Will and Pete from Power Supplements and a few others that were joining us. So we drank. First of all right, the food at the Sports Bar Grill was good. The food was great. Good. The bar service there absolutely fucking sucked. Yeah. It was horrible, and we drank them out of bourbon.
We drank them out. We drank them out of a lot. Like there was several bottles. We actually, by the end, we were just like, "What bourbon do you have left?"
Yeah, all they had left was Bullet, I think, because we killed off the Woodford Reserve and the Knob Creek that they had.
Yeah, and then I feel like we killed something else, and then it was basically just down. We were like, I think we had like Maker's Mark by the end.
Yeah.
By that point, it didn't matter, but yeah, I was literally like, because I remember the one time I walked up and she's like, "Well, I only have this much Knob Creek and then this much Woodford." I said, "Just put it in one glass and I'll just drink that." So it was, God, what a shit show that was. I can't. And the staggering amount of money that they made off of our party that night was pretty legendary.
Yeah, it was. I even said this there. So there were 15 of us at the table. So like an average meal for the person, include 1 to 2 drinks and an entree. You're looking at like $40 a person, base, like just at the very base, maybe $50 a person. Multiply that by 15. We've already spent several $100s there. And then there were all kinds of issues with us just wanting to sit outside and just talk. I'm thinking, you don't want us to leave. Do you want us to go drop another $500-$600 at some other place?
Right.
And it just, it all ended well. We had fun. There were scoops of pre-workout, dry scooped in conjunction with massive amounts of beer.
I'm not going to lie. Like it was somewhat reminiscent of last year, the Christmas party that we had down here. But the Christmas party it was just because we were like outside and there was like 10 times as many people. So people were buying like Irish car bombs and like literally buying like 30 of them at a time because there were so many of us like drinking. Yeah. But that what those guys did with the El Jefe pre-workout, I have personally, like, we've done some crazy shit. We go out and drink and we'll have a good time, but even I was like, guys, I don't do this, man. Like, this is such a bad idea. I know, because some people, I reposted the video that Eddie did, but they those two guys, I had never met either one of them before, but scooping El Jefe and washing it down with beer after we had already had a lot. They had a lot to drink.
And then, I think Britt had like 4 or 5 pitchers of Michelob Ultra. That was by the end of the night. I don't remember. By the time we left,
he was wasted. He was wasted. And then because I was like, this is like, even if I was just drinking a little bit, I wouldn't throw pre-workout, especially something like El Jefe in the mix. I mean, that's not a mess. And he was wasted, and he threw it down, and I was like, phew. But it seemed to actually help him. I don't know if you talked to him like later on, but it seemed to actually help.
Balance.
Yeah, like he kind of bounced back a little bit after that. So I was like,
oh man, it was good times. It was nice to meet your other half too. So
yeah.
Very nice to meet
you. Yeah, it was good. It's always funny, like when we do stuff like that. It's almost like because when we see you, I'm like, oh, fuck, I see Robert. I feel like I see you every day, basically. So it's like, hey man, good to see you again. But realizing it's been 2 years probably since we hung out, and
exactly.
Seeing Robbie and then Jeff Long and there was a lot of people there, man, and it never gets old. It's always good to do that stuff like in person,
Agreed.
and just kind of hang out with everybody. And hadn't seen Eddie for a long time, and Pete, and had never met Jake before, so
yeah.
And then the PWR guys, those guys are great, man. I love those guys. So
it was a good time. Good.
And then you drove. I know we talked about it on here, but you drove from Texas to New Jersey.
I did, and back.
Yeah, I don't even like flying to New Jersey. So,
well, it was great. And I had told you about this, and I had told Robbie about this on the drive up in Sandy. Going through, you wouldn't expect this, but driving through Kentucky and even West Virginia, it's gorgeous driving through there. Like all the hills, and you see like the leaves were starting to change and everything like that. It's just gorgeous scenery all the way around.
True.
And I'm driving through Kentucky. So first night, Austin to Memphis. And so you've already heard this, but this is for the listeners that are, going to hear this. Land in Memphis, go eat at a killer local barbecue joint, which was awesome. The next morning, I hit the road, and I start driving, and I get into Lexington. Then so I go from Memphis to Lexington the next night, and then on the way up, I see – or no, I'm sorry about that. The second day, I was driving from Memphis to Morgantown, West Virginia. And on that road, you go on the Bluegrass Parkway through Kentucky. And for anybody that has never driven that before, doesn't even know what the hell that is where all the major distilleries, the bourbon distilleries of that you and I both know and love. So there was Maker's Mark, Jim Beam, which does all the Beam products, plus Knob Creek, and Baker's 107 and Booker's. Maker's Mark does Maker's 46, past Wild Turkey, which obviously does 101, the Russell's Reserve line. I passed Four Roses. I passed Woodford Reserve, Bardstown Bourbon Company.
I know you told me a little bit about this, but not the whole.
Yeah, I mean, there was a solid like 9 or 10 distillers, and that's just on that one little main stretch of like 50, 60 miles of highway right there. God knows where the other parts of the country. But it was so awesome. So Sandy and I were talking, we're thinking next year sometime we're just going to make a road trip, and we're just going to have a week where we just pop around and do the whole bourbon trail nonstop. So we'll maybe have to hire an Uber to put us around or do something.
Yeah, because I think that we had planned earlier this year on going through that way. I think the same weekend, but we ultimately ended up deciding against it. Just I think things were getting kind of weird, and then Robbie with the party, so I knew we were going to do that. But you're right, though. It is because I've driven not that exact route, but I've driven from living in Pennsylvania, Northwest Pennsylvania. I've driven down through to like Charlotte, stuff like that, lots of times. Yeah. You drive through Kentucky, West Virginia, and stuff like that. It is actually pretty awesome.
Do I answer this? This is my mom. Let's see. Hello? Hi, Mom. What's up? I'm on a podcast currently.
What a good son.
My mom says hi, podcast people. Can I call you back in a few minutes? Or about an hour or so? Not a few minutes, but about an hour. There we go. All right. Bye.
What a good son. He takes time out off of his professional gig to answer a phone call from Mom.
There you go.
Yeah. So I've driven through there lots of times. We actually, because we visited like Louisville before, and then people don't realize how close, say Pittsburgh and stuff like that is to West Virginia. Yeah. It's not that far. And then once you get there's Pittsburgh, but other than Pittsburgh, all throughout Pennsylvania and all through there is all basically what you're talking about. Also, it's there's a lot of just. People don't realize, and actually that was what Kristen said when we drove from Erie back down to South Carolina. She's like, I didn't realize how it's all hills and mountains and stuff like that.
Yeah, man, it's awesome.
I was like, yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool driving around there.
Yeah, buddy. Listeners tuning in, you guys got any comments, questions, or smart ass remarks, feel free to post them up, and we'll get to anything and everything. It doesn't have to be strictly bourbon or supplement related. It could be favorite sleeping positions, favorite type of pillow, least favorite vegetable, anything random and off the wall. Hey, Rose, what's going on, JoJo? Hopefully, how is your heart doing? Let's just say, JoJo, so referencing earlier, we talked about people double scooping El Jefe after having several pitchers of beer. JoJo kind of did something along those lines, but it involved assassin and another Apollon product on accident. So how are you feeling, JoJo? I hope you're feeling better.
Speaking of, I did did we talk about Time Cop, right? Did you have that one?
I have that one. Yeah. Have you used it yet?
Yeah, we used it twice. Monday, we kind of like shouldn't have, like, because, just the traveling and stuff like that, and not sleeping and basically having a bourbon diet for a couple of days. Like, I could tell, but I didn't want to take another day off the gym. So we went, and I wanted to try that one. It was a total bust. We, neither one of us, like, literally, I felt like nothing. And all I was thinking was, I was like, okay, this is not the pre-workout. There's something going on with us. So I ended up trying it again yesterday, and that Time Cop is intense. It's not like I did kind of like a breakdown on the private Facebook group about it. It's not like if I worked out at night, I think, because we work out like early evening. I don't know, man. It just lasts so long that I think it really is like better for people that like work out first thing in the morning. It's not a pre-workout where you have that up and down effect where you get like a crazy rush of stims and then you come back down.
Right.
This one is like slow, steady, like climb, and you just like you never feel. I never felt like oh, I just got like smashed with like energy. It was just there, and it kept like building up. And by the time we got home from the gym, I felt like it was getting stronger, like as I was sitting there, and I was like, holy shit, I am never going to get to sleep tonight. And so it's really, I guess like from using overtime and stuff like that, you kind of expect something like that. But it was very different from, I think, what most people expect and use in pre-workouts. And the pumps on it were nuts. Like, I had some crazy pumps going on yesterday. So the first day, it makes sense because there's never that huge like rush. You know what I mean? So it kind of made sense why, with everything that was going on, the first day it really didn't do a whole lot. But man, yesterday, it was like when we were leaving, I was like, shit, I'm like literally just getting going. So
and like you mentioned, I mean, it's the love child of bare knuckle and overtime. So if you're used to assassin, it's supposed to be like an 8-10 hour thing that you take it and you're flying. So that's kind of what the whole pre-workout is. It's not going to be that kick you in the teeth. It's going to be, we're going to get you up and just hang on, because you're not going to be coming down for a while. So take it early if you're going to take it.
Exactly. I took it around like 4:00.
Yeah.
What time did we get to the gym yesterday? Maybe 4:30ish, 5:00 as we try to get there. And I was sitting there. It's like 7:30, 8:00 at night, and we're back at home. And I'm just like, it was, you're not like, it's not like an uncomfortable, anxious, like jittery. You're just so fucking zoned into what you're doing. It's almost like uncomfortable because you're like, everything, all that stuff you hear like people say certain marketing terms. That's how that thing felt. So like I said, I don't know when I'll use it, but for people, I would say people that work out first thing in the morning, say before work, I think that's like, this one's going to be like money for them, because if you work out before work, like say first thing in the morning, or people that work out midday and then work like second shift or something like that, you're going to have that up and down. So you're going to be battling that. And then at some point in the day, you're going to have to reach for more stimulants, because you're going to come down and then you're going to need to get through your work day. And you're probably, this one, I think if you take this, I think you're going to be good. Like through your workout, and then while you're at work or doing, going about your day, I think you're going to be okay. So I was super impressed. It's just different, right? I think it's different than what most people expect and think of, which is good, right? But because you have double impact of that, you have assassin for that, stuff like that. So it's like, I think it's a genius idea, and I was impressed, man. I was seriously impressed yesterday. I was like, holy shit.
Good job, man.
Yeah.
HB Soup. Hello, HB Soup. Are there any supplements that can help me get through the slog of everyday life?
I was just talking about one. What do you mean by the slog of everyday life, though? Like, is it like an energy thing? Is it you're not, because like we talk about test boosters and stuff on here a lot.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times that really isn't doing much for your testosterone levels, but what it's doing is it just makes you feel better. You know what I mean? Because it might be helping with like stress or focus or, kind of all these other things and energy and motivation. Yeah, I think that's what everybody struggles with, I think. Everybody struggles with energy and motivation.
I mean, you brought up a good point. How's your sleep? First off, how's your sleep? How's your stress situation? Diet is going to play a role into that. Like if you're fueling your body on crap, you're going to feel like crap, or you're not going to feel as good as you could be feeling. Your metabolic machinery isn't going to be working as well as it possibly could. Some other things to look at. What's your relationships like? What are your personal relationships like? Are you in are you dating somebody or married to somebody that may or may not be good? Are you in a job that you hate? I mean, that can make it that much more. And like, I know it's not always easy to say, well, just switch your job. Mm-hmm. But you're talking to two people that did make pretty drastic career changes. So it is possible. Yeah, there we go. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and you're right. And this is a great question. It's a great conversation about supplements just in general, is because as we know, like the word supplement, right? It's supplemental to sort of what you're doing, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things like that do help with energy and motivation and stuff like that, but it's just going to be like a fleeting kind of thing, right? When I was able to like really get a handle on what supplements helped me and when is getting other things in order first, right? It sounds cliche, and it sounds like obvious. Like, okay, well, you have to, you see all this stuff all the time, like, oh, diet is 80% of it, and workouts is 80%, and then supplements is like 1% of it.
Correct.
But it's hard to put that like in practicality, like everyday life, because you're usually so consumed with what you're doing all the time that you just want something quick and like in a pinch to just help you kind of get through. You know what I mean? It's like what's going to help me get through today and just get me to tomorrow. And that's like I think that's that merry-go-round that most of us find ourselves on. You know what I mean? And I know for me, like I was turning to supplements and things like that, like pre-workout. So literally the only satisfaction I was having in my day was the gym, after work all day and stuff like that and going to school and stuff like that. It's like I'm like, just give me a pre-workout. I just want to enjoy like an hour and a half of my day. Right. Yeah. And that's fine. But at the same time, it's just not a long-term solution that's really going to bring you any satisfaction, because what I would find too is like I would do that. And then like, let's say I would go to the gym and have a bad workout. It would just make things so much worse. You know what I mean? Like, because you're not getting like that little. So that's a tough one, man. I mean, there's obviously stuff that fits anything. We know a supplement that can help with basically any issue you have, but it's like, what's the real? We could just tell you to take something, but is that really going to solve the problem for you? I don't know, because you're spending your money on it too. So. Yeah,
I would agree 100% with that. I mean, like that's why the first thing we always jump to is sleep, stress, diet. Job is something like I don't think we've touched on much. Like maybe the first time you and I ever talked, like, and we had like that first podcast back in like 2018 or whatever. Many moons ago, probably 3 years. It's probably around 3 years to the date of that was the first time we did a podcast together. And it's just you had a certain background, then you came here. Same thing with me, and it's you can work. And it will provide a stable, steady income. There we go. Those two words got mixed up in my brain. And that will happen. And you could be fine and just ride it out like that for a while. And many people do that. But at some point, like if you're looking to like see how happy you can truly be and how awesome life can be, you might have to start kind of stepping out of your comfort zone, be willing to shake things up. If you can pivot or just start taking baby steps towards finding that career that you like. Maybe it's whatever you're passionate about. If you truly are as passionate as you think you are about it, you're going to start spending more and more time doing that. And that can eventually turn into your next career. And I mean, that will be a huge boost for your just overall daily energy motivation. Because when you wake up, you're not going to go, fuck, it's time to go get in the car. Let me drive 45 minutes to the office, sit there for 9 hours, gouging my eyes out over boredom, and then getting back in the car to spend another 45 minutes in traffic and all of that stuff. You're actually excited to get up. And if you're in the car, you're like, I don't care. I get to drive to what I'm happy to do. I can listen to podcasts. I can do this, that, and the other. So before we start to do that, I mean, there's a bunch of like Genius Joy is great for reducing stress, improving energy. You know, you could do something like Overtime or like other euphoric pre-workouts, Hypermax, anything that's got like PEAs and urea-drensis. All these things have feel-good chemicals in them. Dopa Rush from Advanced Molecular Labs, all of this stuff. But if you're still miserable, like 90% of your day, that supplement, like you said, Justin, is going to only do, like, it's going to give you an hour, and then you're going to go back to feeling like shit.
Yeah, I think like one area where this could kind of play into is like, say you have something, say you have a project, and I mean, I wish I had known basically the things I knew back then, but say you have something, say you're working all day, and like when I started doing like the supplement Snoop stuff, I would basically do it every night, right? You're not getting paid for it, so I would just have to do it every single night. I would start doing the reading and everything like that and building the database. And sometimes it's like, what can I take? Because we know we have to do X. Say you have to work your job that you don't like during the day, and you got to get through that. But how can you maximize your time away from that, right? Yeah. So, I talk to a lot of people, like, this is the whole point of like what we try to do is like anybody can tell you to go read, examine, and give you the dictionary definition of what an ingredient does. But like one of the biggest reasons why we started like the private Facebook group and stuff like that is so we could have conversations like this. Like I tell people, like, supplements are not just for people that want to train or you want to get a great workout. This is for the dad that works all day long, right? And then he comes home and he wants to have the energy for his kid or for his wife to make sure they maintain their relationship. The mom that basically like puts everyone else's, that makes them the priority over their own health first, because that's just kind of like what moms do. Or do you have a side hustle that you're trying to build? Do you have a passion project you're trying to do? Are you trying to have more energy and motivation? Because you get done at the end of the day, man, you're fucking exhausted. Especially if you're just trying to if you're trying to gut your way through every single day, it is exhausting. You know what I mean? Yeah, so it's like, how do we maximize? What are you trying to accomplish, say, outside of work? How do you maximize stuff like that? Because like you mentioned, there's products you might something like Genius Joy. I can't remember like the stimulants on that, but say you want to do something, right? Say you want to do something at the end of the day. You don't want to take something like overly stimulatory, because then you're not going to get any sleep and then you're screwed, kind of the next day. But I was having a conversation with a girl. She's a really good friend of mine yesterday, and she basically asked me the same thing. She said, I need something. I know kind of what she's going through in life and stuff like that. And she's like, what's the best whatever for focus and stuff while I'm studying? And I was like, well, there's no best, right? Yeah. But this is exactly what I'm talking about, because I know that she takes like a high stim pre-workout just to get through sometimes and does this. So I'm like, okay, we need to find something outside of that realm. Maybe it's stress related. Maybe you don't need anything stimulatory at all. Maybe you need something the opposite. Maybe you need something to bring you back, to calm you down. That can be, focus. That can be energizing. Stuff like ashwagandha or like rhodiola stuff. They have that. Sometimes it can be energetic and sometimes it can be calming, depending on sort of where you're at. So correct. It is like the whole thing right here. Exactly like what this person's asking is why we do what we do. Yeah. Great question. HB Soup. If you got any follow-up stuff, feel free to post it and we'll get to it, man. Yeah. Jiffy. Or I would also ask the first question I usually ask anyone when they say, can you recommend something for X? I'll say, have you tried anything else? And what did that sort of do for you? Like, it's a good point. People ask, because they probably have gone elsewhere and tried something on their own, right? Because someone will say like, well, can you recommend me a good pre-workout? It's probably because they had a poor experience somewhere else. They saw a Facebook ad, they saw an Instagram sponsored post, they went for the marketing, they tried it, it didn't work. And then now they're going, well, maybe something's wrong with me. When in reality, they just ended up grabbing something that doesn't exactly fit with what they want to do. So that's why I always try to ask people, like one of my first questions is like, what have you already tried? How did you feel about it? Then we can sort of go from there.
Agreed. The supplement engineer mom. Yep. Good old mom. They're coming in town tomorrow and they'll be with us till next Tuesday.
Nice. I think my parents are coming in town next week. They've never come down here. So.
Devin. Look who's back.
Devin.
Back again. All right. Hey, Robert, do you know if chemical imbalances in the brain could affect pre-workout nootropics? Absolutely.
Fuck yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, like, it's going to be, even just for an otherwise healthy individual, nootropics can have, depending on which ingredient you're using, the dosages of them, they can either have short-term effects, long-term effects, and all of these are modulating, twisting, turning, manipulating, sometimes permanently altering your neurotransmitter status in the brain, but not only the levels, but how those receptors actually function. So you're not only like ramping up production of it, but you're also depleting precursors. You're also changing the actual receptors themselves, the density of them, so how many are in there, how sensitive they are to these things. So yeah, and that's assuming that there's no other pre-existing conditions or something like ADHD or any other kind of like addictive personalities, which might have varying levels of dopamine and serotonin sensitivities and stuff like that. So yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's tough too because I know like this is this is somewhat of an unpopular opinion, but everyone, literally, people ask me questions all day long and they tell me the same thing. They tell me that they have anxiety and depression, and they tell me they have ADHD, and I was like, yeah, so does every single other person on the planet. Like, that's not the anxiety and depression kind of thing ties into it. I think people sometimes are like, well, yeah, I have this, and they need to call it something. And I was like, this is life. Like the way ADHD is, dude, everybody has ADHD. Like, I mean, it's, to what extreme, it's almost like a made up kind of medical term as it is. It's like, what's going on with your life is more important. I know we like to call things something because it allows us to sort of wrap our heads around it. Like when people say, well, I have anxiety, it's like, well, what does that mean? Like, tell me more about your anxiety, because a lot of times anxiety is a good thing. I was like, you might not want to push that down or ignore the fact that you have depression going on. Of course, you don't want it to become a huge issue and something, right? But it's trying to tell you something at the same time. Like, it could be a signal that something needs to change. Maybe you need to seriously think about changing a job or a relationship or something like that. Maybe you don't need the supplement or the medication to suppress that. Maybe you need to kind of embrace it. And I think like one thing that like you were kind of talking about is it ties into what I just said about the ashwagandha and rhodiola. A lot of these things have multi-functioning things going on in the body where it's like, if you take it when you feel X, it does this. Now, maybe you take it at another time and it sort of has an opposite effect. It all depends on what else you have going on in the day. And it's like, you have, I tell people this a lot, but a lot of times what a pre-workout is designed to do, people will feel like shit. They'll be like irritable and tired and stuff, and they'll want to take a pre-workout to make them like feel better. A lot of times what these are doing are just, they're going to amplify how you already feel also. So sometimes it's like, you're in a bad mood, you take a pre-workout, you end up in a worse mood, And it's
that's happened to be on many occasions, like especially during the summer months. Sandy and I will often train together. Like during the school year, I do it by myself at home, but during the summer she's home with me, and so we'll go and train. And I've learned I can't take Yohimbine when I'm around her because like she's already so hyper, and when I take Yohimbine, like it pegs you out. And if I combine that with a leg workout, I get so pissed off. And it's nothing she's done, but like the fact that I'm already trying to amp myself up for the workout, and she just is like. If we're doing like a chest and back or a push-pull workout and she's chattering, I can block it out. But there's something about a leg workout plus Sandy talking plus Yohimbine that puts me in like a seriously pissed off mood.
Yeah, yeah. It
So
makes
yeah.
you very like agitated and irritable, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, like a lot of people are that Yohimbine he's asking about Yohimbine.
Yeah, that's a perfect segue.
It's another ingredient because people will take it because they want to lose weight, right? Or they have it's like an erectile dysfunction, sort of like blood flow kind of aid as well.
Yeah.
So people will be say depressed or they'll have anxiety, excuse me, because they're overweight, because they don't have energy or something like that. They'll feel, and you take something like this, and it actually just makes things worse because it's why I don't like Yohimbine.
Yeah.
I can handle it and I don't mind it to like a certain point, but I'm not like an anxiety person. I'm not like an agitated, like on the edge kind of person normally. And it makes me
Yeah.
feel that way. And I don't like it because it's like you're making me feel a way that I don't normally feel anyway, like a negative way. So some people that are very like susceptible to anxiety inducing stuff like that, Yohimbine and stuff like that can be very, negative for them because that's what it does. People, we always talk about there's no free rides in the body. It'll do something X to help with fat loss, but that stops another thing from happening in the body. And then next thing you know, you have all these like other effects that kind of go along with it. Yohimbine ACL is also extremely strong.
Yeah. I guess for what purpose are you using it, HB Soup? I mean, because it could be, we see it in pre-workouts because it's a powerful CNS stimulant. It's going to ramp up catecholamine production in the body. And like Justin was saying, it does have some fat burning promoting mechanisms in it via inhibiting a fat storage process in the body without having to get into alpha receptors and all that shit. We don't need to go into all of that. But from what are you going to feel? You're going to feel an intense like stimulatory kick, especially if you haven't used it before. Yeah, I wouldn't. It has some mild blood flow enhancing properties, but if you're really looking to get a better pump, go with something like citrulline, nitrosogene, Vaso-6, Vaso-Drive AP.
Salt.
Yeah, salt makes sure you're properly hydrated, all of that stuff. Yohimbine wouldn't be in my top 10 or 15 supplements to use for a muscle pump or a training session.
The negatives that come with it. Yohimbine, I remember reading they use it to treat sleep apnea, actually.
I haven't heard that before. That's interesting.
Yeah, it was because somebody asked me about taking it at night, and I was like, well, you get that stimulatory, so I was okay. That makes sense to satisfy my boyfriend. Nothing wrong with that. Although I think that there's like kind of going with this whole thing. There's blood flow. So when you talk about like blood flow or like libido inducing ingredients, there's ingredients like say like citrulline or something blood flow inducing that actually has positive effects, like positive long-term health effects. Yes, you get sort of like that acute, could help with say like whatever it is, your workout or whether it's sex or whatever it is. But there's also like long-term benefits because it's helping with like overall health of your just your arteries and things like that. But there was something with Yohimbine in the way it like relaxes the tongue, so it stops that sleep apnea from happening where people like cut off their own like airway. It was really interesting because somebody was asking me about taking it before bed, and I was like, man, that seems like a bad idea. And I'm like, okay, well, let me check into this. And then I came across a study about the sleep apnea. I was like, wow, I didn't know that.
Very interesting. I'm going to have to go dig into that. You guys seem very knowledgeable. I will follow. Thank you. We're happy to help. That's the whole reason we're here.
A lot of this stuff, I think like because people obviously have been asking me about libido and energy and, especially guys, you're led to believe that there's something wrong with you, right? There's something you have to go get on. Everybody gets on fucking TRT these days and all that sort of stuff, and that's fine. But it's a lot of this stuff is just stress related. If you're able to manage stress in some kind of way, stress and sleep. When it comes to like libido is like 98% of it for me, man.
1 second, I'm writing down a note for the.
So this other question is about. So alpha yohimbine for some people. So alpha yohimbine is supposed to technically like work better, but also a lot of people experience less effects. But then some people experience more. But there's a huge caveat when it comes to yohimbine, and we talked about this on the show a lot.
Yeah.
Yohimbine is probably the most. Well, I would say like when it comes to like ingredients that we see everywhere, we get such ranging quality from China because China knows everybody knows like yohimbine, like that's everybody uses it, like it's everywhere, right? And they've been using it for God knows how long. So the quality of the actual yohimbine is what is a real problem in this industry. So if you're going to buy it, Gorilla Mine, I know where they manufacture, and not saying there's anything wrong, but
not saying there's anything right either. So.
Yeah, I would say I would have some serious questions. Their manufacturer has been gotten in trouble quite a few times in the past, so this is something to consider.
I'm gonna send you something. Look over to the right, Justin, and look in the private chat. I'm gonna ask you a question. You don't have to say the name, but whoops, that's not what I wanted to do.
Yeah, 100%. You know that.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
there we go. I didn't realize it was showing that on the screen. Okay.
Yep.
Anyway, this is all right. So the AM-based fat loss formula. So all right. So you got 3 milligrams of yohimbine, but also check into these 2 ingredients as well: the theophylline and the isopropyl norepinephrine. That could be contributing to the anxiousness.
Theophylline is strong. Theophylline is actually theophylline is a prescription drug.
Correct. It's not supposed to be in dietary supplements. There are several products that use it. I love the way it feels, especially at 25 milligrams.
Well, you can always tell where a company gets their products made if they have theophylline, because there's only one manufacturer out there that will put it in their products that I know of. Exactly.
I mean, it feels great. I mean, I've had it in Chaos and Pain's Cannibal Ferox before, but I've only done a half scoop of that pre-workout just because TJ at Fitness Deal, he said that he did the full scoop and it was not a pleasant experience. I started at half, and that feels great. I haven't verged higher, but I mean that could definitely be doing it. And isopropyl norepinephrine is a weird feeling ingredient for me. The pre-workouts that I've typically tried it in, I have not been overly fond of. So
yeah, I think that if you're not used to taking isopropyl norepinephrine, that and the theophylline are much more likely the culprits of that than the alpha yohimbine.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying there's anything like shady going on with Gorilla Mine. What the point I'm trying to make is these manufacturers get, the brand is almost secondary. It doesn't really matter about the brand. It's where the manufacturer orders. Brands just slap their labels on it. Brands aren't making their own products, right? Some of them do, but they're ordering these bulk, huge bags from China, and then sometimes you don't know exactly what you're getting. It's kind of hard to test for some of this stuff. And
correct.
So you get a lot of varying, experiences with yohimbine, I guess is the entire point I'm getting at.
Yeah. And one other thing that never really gets mentioned with alpha yohimbine is that it's got a higher affinity for serotonin receptors in the brain than regular yohimbine does. So if you, like we've talked before, neurotransmitters, if you go too far on the scale, one end or the other can kind of make you feel on edge or freaked out or something like that. So it's got a higher affinity for that. Plus, when you throw that in conjunction with the PEA pleasure of N-phenethyl-dimethylamine, like the ureadrensis ass kicker alkaloid, I mean, that ingredient feels great, but you always got to start with a half serving and then always, adjust from there. I've gotten a lot of questions over the past couple of months about Gorilla Mind.
They're huge on ads. Huge.
Yeah, and I know the guy over there is popular on YouTube. And overall, they've got some really well-dosed formulas. Obviously, they're premium quality and very, very expensive to produce. Yeah. My only concern with the formulas is that he uses 400 micrograms of huperzine in a couple of different products.
It's a lot of huperzine.
It is. I don't think that's a smart thing, because you know what people are going to do? They're going to go and combine these products, whether they should be or not. I mean, case in point of what happened Saturday night with the pre-workout.
Yeah.
People are just going to do things. I don't like seeing, especially like those higher end doses of huperzine are really only supposed to be with people that are in some kind of cognitive decline.
Mm-hmm.
100 to 200 a day, yeah, I'm fine with that. When you go 400 to 800, be careful.
I don't think huperzine should be in pre-workouts as it is, but you have exactly what you're talking about. Like a lot of these ingredients, they'll have varying, say, like half-lives, in the body, or like how long it takes to sort of work its way through. And some of them are very fast. Some of them build up. A lot of them we don't know. And
there's not a lot of human studies on them.
Yeah, huperzine seems to be one of those ones that can stick around for a long time. And if it shows up in your pre-workout and your nootropic and like all this other stuff, and you're getting it multiple times a day, next thing you know, it's got that opposite effect. People are looking for a way to like clear up brain fog. Well, next thing you know, because we know, like I tell this story a lot, like huperzine is a acetylcholinesterase inhibitor. Basically what it's doing is it's stopping that recycling process. So if you do that too much, you're left in an almost like funk where your body you're kind of like constantly stimulated, but you don't feel energized. Like they use acetylcholinesterase inhibitors in bug spray and stuff like that. It's how you spray the bug and basically their entire body shuts down. It's because they can't get like new stimulus in, so they just die.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is not going to happen to us, but that's how the whole thing works, where you're trying to keep these levels raised, but you can overdo that, and you just end up in this like it's hard to process. Like your motor skills can kind of get a little bit weird. You're not thinking clearly. You get brain fog, so then you probably go and reach for more stuff, and then you're just kind of making the whole thing.
I was listening to an older Rogan podcast on my journey down from Jersey, and some guy was on there talking about a neurotoxin, and it, like you said, and it goes back to the bug spray thing. It works on the cholinergic system in the body, and basically what it does, it fires all of the acetylcholine at once. Mm-hmm. Your body seizes up because it can't contract and relax, because acetylcholine, for the listeners that don't know this, is released from the neuromuscular junction, and it's what causes your muscles to contract. So that's why you see a lot of choline donating supplements in pre-workouts, is because it's part of the mind-muscle connection and muscle contractions. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's neurotoxins in various insects and arachnids and reptiles out there that will fuck you up because it messes with your your cholinergic system in the body.
Yeah, and I know like I've had some pre-workouts that it'll be really high on the choline, and it ends up making you tired. Makes you sleepy, so it has like the opposite effect of like what you're going for. So yeah
man, good stuff. Did we catch up on everything? Yeah, JoJo did I talked to him Monday night about this. It was a double scoop of Double Impact. He thought he was grabbing a scoop of bare knuckle after he had grabbed a scoop of Double Impact previously, and accidentally took 2 scoops of Double Impact.
Oh man. What is that, like 1.3 grams of caffeine?
Yeah, I think it's like at least a gram. I think Double Impact's 600.
It's like 600?
550 or something. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that's
a lot. And JoJo, he's not a big guy, right? I mean, like you're in prep too, so your weight's probably Oh.
And we should say he did win the show when he got his OCB Pro card.
Nice.
So yeah, that's good stuff. He's doing the Lord's work. He works for Amazon and driving shit and delivering your packages all over the place. So be nice to your friendly neighborhood Amazon delivery man.
We had that conversation because Javier that was there the other night was a UPS driver.
Yeah.
And he was talking about people that like leave snacks and stuff out for UPS drivers, and we live on the 3rd floor now. When we moved out and sold the house and then moved in here to the apartment, live on the 3rd floor, and the UPS guy, he's here every day, basically dropping off shit for me, and I'm like, you gotta do something nice for this guy, like for Christmas.
Agreed. Let's do. I was scrolling through Stack 3D to talk about stuff, and let's focus on some health and wellness supplements. That's an area we don't talk about much, as much as pre-workouts, protein powders, energy drinks. Those are the sexy things. But let's talk about some of the not so sexy things, but stuff that probably will have more long-term impact for you over the long run. First is blood pressure support from SNS. I just pulled this up. They do, like, SNS they offer some really great affordable products that always are really well dosed. I like their glycophase for their GDA. I've heard really good things about their Vaso Rush XT, like their little stem caps, and they're supposed to be super potent. I've never tried them.
That's a fun one.
Yeah. So Hawthorne Exo, this is their blood pressure supports, obviously stuff that's going to increase nitric oxide, circulatory support, and all of that.
Yeah, because a lot of this stuff, you'll see people, this maybe is a bit much, but you have people put antioxidants and things like that in their pre-workouts, and this is going pretty hard at that. I think Jeff Long uses Mega Natural.
Yeah, he does. In what's the thing?
Total Health? Complete Health.
Yeah.
So it's got the full dose of amyl peptide. That's the vasodrive.
Correct. And I don't think anybody actually understands that. Like, you're only getting 3.4 milligrams of the active stuff. Yeah. You need a 508 milligram dose, but you get 3.4 milligrams of that stuff. Mega Natural, do you need the patented form of Mega Natural BP? I mean, I guess if you're going to really go home hard on the blood pressure claims, but I think even just a generic grapeseed extract would be fine in that case.
Right. Yeah. I think some people just use it because they want to make sure that standardization and the trademark and everything like that is good. But
yeah, I mean, the good thing is, like, they do have a lot of plant extracts in here, but they're all the phytochemicals that are in there are all slightly different. So pine bark's got the proanthocyanidins, hawthorne berry's got the vitexin, and it's got a few other different kind of polyphenols. I don't remember the specific class of flavonoids that are in there. S7.
Yeah, it's a fun one. I like it.
Take it or leave it, S7. I mean, it's got its mechanisms and stuff like that. So,
well, the good thing is like what I always tell people when it comes to like S7 is, what does the rest of the formula look like? Correct. You know, like S7 here, it's not going to be an expense to the customer to add S7 in here. S7 will give you an ability to make a claim, which is good. Yeah. Antioxidants are never a bad idea. Whether it's S7's nothing. S7's an ingredient that's never going to be like a formula tipping ingredient where I'm like, oh, it's got S7 in there. That's cool. Whereas like something like vasodrive, if I see vasodrive or the amyl peptide in there, I'm like, right away, that'll get my attention because I know that ingredient works. S7, it's kind of like one of those things where, especially if you only use like 50 milligrams, it's kind of like, okay. Whatever. Yeah. It's in there. That's cool. I don't care if it is or not, but it doesn't hurt to be in there.
And you're getting 30 servings, which a lot of supplements aren't 30 servings these days. And it's basically $1 a serving for the Stack 3D Insider Code.
Yeah, I mean, I would use this, like, say, take something like Unbound, their pre-workout.
Yeah, this would be a dynamite pump formula.
Yeah, because I would take something, right? I would take a pre-workout that is strictly energy, something like Unbound or Glaxon Specimen, something like that. They're not adding the pump ingredients to it,
right? Because
this in here, I think if you stack this, if you took this pre-workout with like another product that has a lot of pump, probably going to be too much. Your blood pressure might drop too much if there's not enough stimulants to sort of back it up. But I would use this in combination. Like I said, the first thing I thought of was Unbound's pre-workout, because that thing goes hard on the energy and focus. And then you could throw this in there and I think that'd be a pretty good workout.
Yeah. I like that formula a lot. And the Hawthorne berry, we've seen that in a couple of things. So VMI use Hawthorne berry extract. Yeah. Glaxon uses that in their pump products. I'm there we go. Core Heart.
Dude, this line is awesome.
I remember when they announced it, but I haven't seen anything from it yet.
You should follow my content on Instagram, man, because I've talked a lot about these products. So there you go. We got Hawthorne berry again. The liver formula that they have here is real cool. They have another one that's called they started off with gut, which they have their own sort of like probiotic sort of gut health blend going on, and then they have this one, and then they have Soothe. It's like an anti-inflammatory one that's really cool. I think you'll like Prostate and Heart, I think, which is what you were just looking at.
Yeah.
So it's like, people, if you don't know, Tudka is a really super effective liver ingredient. It's like, we'll probably lose it eventually because it is so effective. But it's very expensive. Tudka, you usually don't see Tudka mixed in with a lot of other ingredients because it's very pricey and it's very hard to manufacture. It's like super fine, causes a lot of issues. So you usually see a company just have a Tudka standalone. And Cetria glutathione is also another really expensive ingredient.
Yes, it is. Because NutriBio just released a standalone Tudka product to the point that you're saying it's usually not complexed in with anything else. But yeah, that's expensive. I like milk thistle too. That's something I was thinking about getting because I've already got NAC for my bourbon. Enjoyment, obviously, get some milk thistle in there.
That's the thing too, is we see milk thistle all the time, but it's never enough. And it's also not standardized. Like, that's one thing I think what Core always does well is they use, why you're getting, or like, that's what you want. And at 80% of over, 1.26 grams, that's
what I know. SNS has Liver Support XT. That's another really good one since we're just talking about theirs. I want to compare these two. Sorry, Liver Assist, not Liver Support XT. Assist. So I know there's milk thistle standardized as well. Okay, so here's a little bit of a difference between the two. You got 1,000 milligrams of NAC. You got 600 of milk thistle here. There's no NAC here, but they do have the Cetria glutathione, so you can swap 1-to-1 for that.
Yeah.
You're getting twice as much milk thistle with this one. Katuki extract, none of that here. But turmeric.
Yeah, they have turmeric. They have that in their Soothe. Core has curcumin in their Soothe. Soothe is a really cool one because it's not like a
heart. Wasn't it also in their heart formula that I was just on?
I don't know.
Yeah, 500 of that.
Check out Core Soothe then.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Red yeast rice is.
That's the one.
Well, it's got the naturally occurring statin in it.
Yeah, and that's one that shows up in.
I thought it was banned off the market though. That's why, or at least there was a crackdown on it a couple of years ago. Yeah, but that was when high tech was involved. So
yeah, it's in nectar also.
Ambrosia.
Ambrosia. Yeah. Red yeast.
Core Soothe.
It's probably on stack. Yeah, there you go. Because this is not like a. It's not like you have like the joint health sort of aspects to it, but there's also more to it than it's not just joint inflammation. You said there.
Yeah, because all four of these are pretty potent anti-inflammatory things, and well, ginger's also got the analgesic quality, so it's going to be a pain reliever as well.
Right. I
like this formula, but they already have Core Flex too. But like you said, it's just it's not just necessarily joints; it's just systemic inflammation support.
Those are big dosages too.
Yeah, and the Phyto C. I'm guessing that's some kind of naturally occurring vitamin C complex. Yeah,
looks like an attempt at like an upgraded
S7.
S7.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ooh, it's S11.
S11. Well, I feel like I just saw that in maybe Ghost or something like that. Phyto C. I feel like I saw it somewhere else, but I saw it pop up somewhere else.
Interesting. Gingiver. You say gingiver or gingiver?
Gingiver?
Gingiver. That's what I would say too. Yeah, man. I like this.
Yeah.
It's in their prostate. 'Prostate?
Yeah, they sent me this line. And yeah, the liver one, yeah, especially, although you can't take Tudka before you drink. That's like the big no-no. You're not supposed to do that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I've been taking the liver sport formula as the bourbon.
There you go.
Usually, like, granted, the other day, we drank a lot of bourbon on Saturday. Normally,
I don't remember how many we had. There was a lot. And thank you to Sean at Sub Talk Radio for driving. Being smart.
Yeah, that was good. I mean, because we had a lot, man. We had a lot of bourbon.
We did. We didn't get sloppy. We had a lot, but we weren't sloppy, so that's a good thing.
Usually, I just have like one, like if I'm like reading at the end of the night or whatever, or just kind of hanging out, just have like a little bit. But Saturday was aggressive.
That's what you do. That's the way it's supposed to be.
Well, it was funny too because you and I have never like drank together, right?
Mm-mm.
So I'm sitting here thinking, because we were having, it was a good time, and I was like, man, this bourbon's going down easy. I'm like, I want more. I was like, but I don't know if Robert's down with like just pounding bourbon. And you were already like at the bar, and I was like, oh, okay.
We're getting after it tonight.
I was like, all right. I was like, we're on the same page. We didn't even have to discuss it.
No,
because we're just kind of
the other thing. I wish they would have had a better birder, huh?
We're both kind of like more, right? More?
Yeah, well, we good. We good. And Kristen hung with us pretty long, too. She was going round for a while, man.
Yeah, she does.
I wish we had an actual bourbon bar we could have gone to like try a few different things. But, I mean, we had everybody there, so, I mean, it was still good. That's just kind of like, could you put a cherry on top of everything and be at a bourbon bar? But
a bourbon bar maybe at the beginning of the night, too, because then, like I said, by the end, it's like, who cares?
Right, yeah. Justin, because nootropics without caffeine seem unnoticeable and don't feel any different than just caffeine alone. I would push back on that a little bit.
Yeah, I disagree, but I think that's also a big thing that why nootropics are hard for people to, because people want that energy rush. It's why nootropics are a hard sell to the general public. But
I mean, go try Focus XT, the stem-free from SNS. Try Genius Joy. Alpha EA from NutriBio is another great stem-free one.
So what I see is people use nootropics sort of. Nootropics, if you ever do something like if you do a podcast or if you do, if you're doing public speaking or if you're taking some kind of intensive study work or whatever, that's when you notice it. You don't notice it during. You notice like when you're done, or you notice sometimes like after you're just more productive. That's the way nootropics are supposed to work. They're not supposed to be. They're not supposed to be stimulants, but people. So people struggle with that. They struggle with the whole. They need caffeine to go with it. That Brain Awake from Natural Science Creation. Take 80% ginsenosides, engine, and there's no way that you don't notice that.
Let me pull this up for everybody so they can see it real quick. But that's another good one that we have talked about here on the podcast before.
But I think exactly what he's saying is what a lot of people, especially at first, you don't really know how to use them or like when they're supposed to be effective. Like people, not saying this person, but people will sometimes like use it and they just expect to just suddenly like feel energized. It doesn't, and that'll like get them motivated almost like a pre-workout. It's not how they're supposed to work at all.
Yeah. I'd be curious to try this. I haven't tried the higher standard ginseng before.
Oh man, I don't know why he didn't send you something to begin with. Sam is he's a good friend of ours. The only thing that I would change about this one for the future is taking out the CDP choline, which I love CDP choline. It's great. But this product it's almost like it's the engine that's in there and then the rodeo or whatever. You feel it so much you don't need the choline in there also, to be honest with you. It's like, I don't want to say it's strong because that's not exactly like what I want to say, but it's just like the choline can sometimes, like what we were talking about, have like that negative, or it can make people tired and stuff like that. So I think that I've never had that experience with this one, but I think that would be the only thing I would change. Is I would take out the CDP choline. Yeah.
And Rick's got rhodiola. I don't have a ton of experience with the Rodeo Prime, which is from NNB. I've heard good things, and like the higher salidroside content is supposed to be like a really good like ass kicker, like a stem-free kind of like kick in the pants. I love regular rhodiola just with the 3% rosamins, 1% or 2% salidroside. So I got to imagine the 6% is pretty intense.
You could use just engine itself, and you know what I mean? Like sometimes you get in that thing where, like I said, I don't want to say that this is overkill or overdone, but probably not necessary sometimes. Like to have certain combinations, you're getting. I mean, this is just me speaking as a brand consultant, like money profit margin wise, because it's not like giving people the more ingredients. It's not a bad thing. So It's a killer product, man, and the price on it is ridiculous on Amazon. It's cheap.
Oh yeah, it's only $27 and you get 30 servings, so it's less than $1 a serving. Stim-free Focus Aid and all right, I might have to order a bottle of that and try it.
Because when we were trying the engine just by itself, and some I don't think that they'll care if I name drop them, but it was Michael and Joey from Glaxon, me, Sam, and some other people were trying that ingredient. All of us were like,
Sam Strange or different Sam?
No, Sam that owns Natural Science.
Okay.
We were all like, is this legit ginseng? Because this feels like a drug. And they're like, this is, because like to what Justin is saying here also, sometimes like I'll take the engine with some coffee, and then you even get like a even more noticeable sort of effect. Because if I just have like regular like caffeine doesn't do shit to me. So if you add in like a little tinker here and there, you can kind of feel. But nootropics, a lot of it is balance. Yeah. So you just kind of push, and you have to tinker around because people always want you or I to tell them exactly what to take, and it's like, if you take exactly like what we take, you'll probably have a bad experience, because if you're not used to it, stuff like that can feel very strong. It can feel kind of overwhelming. So
correct.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff out there, man. There is. Speaking of Glaxon,
how's Tranquility as a sleep aid? I'll pull that formula up, and we can kind of go through.
Sleep aids are always the hardest. Like people always want. Like I'll give you an example. Like people will always say to me, they're like, Justin, I want to sleep for 8 hours a night, and I want to wake up and I want to feel great and all that stuff. And I'm like, well, yeah, you and
everybody
else on this planet. So sleep aids are definitely the hardest recommendation. So I don't like to make like singular recommendations anyway, but the sleep aids are by far the hardest, because there's no sleep aid, not even Somatomax from
APS. Yeah.
There's no sleep aid that's going to override horrendous sleep hygiene. It just
correct.
Believe me, the only reason why I can say that is because I've tried. I tried.
Yeah.
I did get to try the honey bourbon flavor of this one.
There's a honey bourbon flavor?
Yeah. So what? the one cool thing about this product is,
oh my god, this has me written all over it.
So this product's killer. This is a killer product, first of all.
Well, yeah, I tried the OG version of it, and I have a bottle of this one. I just haven't had occasion to use it. But there's a bottle of it sitting in my pantry there.
So Sedative, their original one, tasted like shit, right?
Yeah.
The Tranquility, their flavors are amazing. Like they are legitimately like all sleep aids basically taste like crap, because a lot of them have a lot of herbal extracts and all that sort of stuff. So anyway, they're very hard to flavor, but they killed these flavors, and then they just honey bourbon. I think they shipped it out to me yesterday, but I got to try a sample of it when they were sort of running it, and oh man, it's so good.
Yeah, and it's, how do you feel about melatonin and stuff? Because some people, it's kind of like beta alanine and pre-workouts. Some people love it, some people hate it, and I've heard various sleep experts say like some of them are okay with it, some of them are saying don't ever use that. And I just
what now? Say it again.
Melatonin.
Oh.
I like it, but in the right dose, and I think that's why so many people have a love-hate relationship with it. They just haven't found the right dose of it.
Yeah, and I think melatonin, people use it incorrectly also.
Yeah.
But so this one is a cool one. So one of the big issues, and this is what like my feedback to them when they had me try sedative, was I would literally wake up every morning at the same exact time, like 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I would take it, and I go to bed at like 1 o'clock. This is at the time like 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning. And I would wake up every single morning, 5 a.m. Just like somewhere in there. I was able to go back to sleep a lot of times, but so they were running into the same kind of issues. So they swapped out the melatonin that was in there for this extended release melatonin that seems to help people stay asleep, like, and not have that sort of experience where you kind of snap up awake. Melatonin is, because everybody uses melatonin. It's on every grocery store shelf, and people just, they think that that's the sleep thing. But melatonin, as we know, right, it's a hormone. There's so much more going on with it. So that's why people have like such crazy different experiences with it. And dosing is a big one too. So, but anyway, long story short, it's a killer product. I don't know whether it's like, I could still never tell somebody if it's gonna like work for you or not, though. But the big dose of glycine is one thing I love. And then they also add the hydration blend in there too. It's a killer. It's a killer formula. Yeah.
And one other thing about melatonin, it's a super potent antioxidant. And let's just say there's some research out there against a certain type of bug that it's got some promising results.
And see, this also has huperzine in it.
It does, yeah, down here at the bottom. 50 micrograms in a full dose.
Which is low, but it's like, now what if you're, all of a sudden, are you having it in the morning and then pre-workout and then also before bed? And next thing you know, because choline sources, like they have choline bitartrate in here, and huperzine, it can help people like have very vivid dreams, very like deep sleep and stuff like that. So a lot of people look at it as they use it in pre-workout for like mental energy, but because people would see it pop up in a sleep aid and people are like, whoa, I don't understand. Even us, I think like at one point I was like, I've never seen that.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when you kind of dig into it, you're like, oh, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, and plus when you're sleeping, your body's going through memory consolidation, moving it from one part of your brain to the other for like long-term storage and things like that. So I could see, after we did some digging, after seeing like this initially, you go back and you start to kind of understand different things. And so, yeah, I can understand it in this scenario.
And it works. That's the one thing about Glaxon. We say this all the time. Glaxon, become really good friends with those guys. But when they first came out, I didn't know them, and I was very skeptical of a lot of stuff that they were doing. And at this point, I'm like, I don't doubt them anymore because their shit works. Yeah. And they tell you why. Like, he's asking if you guys were forced to buy from 3 companies, which is impossible. That's an impossible question, really. I know so many great people doing so many great things in this space. Glaxon would have to be one of them, though. Glaxon is I doubted them a lot, and they not only deliver, but they tell us why. And I always will gravitate towards companies that take the extra time. Like Michael is a huge contributor to our private Facebook group. He does Q&As there all the time. Like when they have new products like they've been doing lately, he'll always make himself available. He's like, ask me, and people will ask him questions about the formula, like, why'd you do this? Why'd you do this? And he'll tell you. And they do a great job with education. So I was just a huge fan. Like I said, they turned me into a mega believer. I was very skeptical at first.
I think my top 3 companies would probably be...
I definitely can't do a top 3.
Insane Labs, Muscle Tech, and what's the other one? USP Labs?
Yeah, USP Labs. Insane Labs, man.
There we go. Dude, I've seen commercials for them. Like, so you have the Amazon Fire Stick, and like they have some of those free movie channels like Tubi or Pluto TV. So they'll have a bunch of different movies, but they'll have like a commercial break every 20 or 30 minutes that lasts for about 30 seconds. Killer Labs actually has commercials on those things now.
Killer Labs or Insane Labs?
Sorry, Insane Labs, not Killer Labs.
I was
Insane
gonna
Labs
say because
does.
Killer Labs is a Performax brand. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I meant Insane Labs. Yeah, not Killer Labs.
And Killer Labs makes some cool stuff, but
yeah,
Insane Labs. You know, if a company's got some TV advertisements,
they got mega bucks behind that.
They got some serious. Well, they're a manufacturer too.
Yeah, if forced to buy, I mean, I'm not going to name any specifics because we all have a lot of friends in the industry and we all work with a lot of these guys. So if you only say 3, you're bound to piss off somebody. I would look for a company that has like if you can only choose between 3 product companies for the rest of your life, then they got to have, like, they can't be a one-trick pony. Like all they have is a pre-workout. You have to go with a brand that's got SKUs across the spectrum. So they're going to have a protein, they're going to have a vitamin. Eventually they'll have a joint formula, a nootropic, sleep aid, those kind of things. You know, you want to get something that's got everything.
Morphogen comes to mind because for that reason too. Morphogen, not only does he make good formulas, but he's like literally, because as your priorities change in life, like, and he knows this too. I don't use Morphogen's pre-workout. His pump, I love. The pre-workout is a killer formula, but it's not what I like in a pre-workout.
Yeah.
But he's got things like Morphoprime and Morphodonis is a product I just got the other day. It's like a men's health sort of formula. His line is there's no stone left unturned with that line. He has absolutely like everything that you could possibly like look for, like every type of product that you would want that he has. So
a true lifestyle brand to where it covers every aspect of your life.
True.
There you go. Snoop looking jacked. You have no idea. I saw this motherfucker in person. I thought he hopped on a cycle or something, man. There were a couple of people that saying like, "Damn, son, you put on some size."
Well, I used to get it too because the first time, I think it was like last summer, I think it was at the Christmas party, actually, or the 2-year party. A bunch of people came in and people would only see me on my phone, doing the Instagram questions. Yeah. And people were like, dude, you are way bigger than I thought you were.
Yeah.
But you know what? And it kind of almost ties into what she was asking earlier about your lifestyle and all that stuff, because I've always gone to the gym. I've always taken supplements and stuff like that. But as you know, the last like year or so of my life has been very different from years previous. And there was a lot of crazy stuff going on. And, it's amazing when you're able to figure out certain parts of life and you get things in order, how everything else sort of like trickles down and everything kind of falls into place. So it kind of does tie into that whole conversation earlier.
Yeah. What is your opinion on Dream Chaser by I Prevail?
So I've used this one. I don't know if he still has the same formula because he uses kava in it, and I know kava is like you're not supposed to use that ingredient.
Really?
Yeah.
Something I had not heard yet.
Yeah, like it's not banned or anything like that, but I think it's almost like DMHA where they were like kind of stopped using it.
Gotcha.
I've used this one though. Jason, I know Jason over there pretty well. Jason's a super good dude. He makes some good stuff, man.
Melatonin dose is right in my wheelhouse. I like the 3 milligram dose. 5 HTP. You could maybe go a little bit higher, but I mean, you got tryptophan in there as well.
Yeah.
Valerian root is nice. Magnesium, the 400 milligrams is kind of right in that sweet spot for, the dose of magnesium you want to kind of like an effective dose to kind of calm everything down without getting the unpleasant GI effects of too high of a dose of magnesium.
This one reminds me of Coma from Kodiak, which is always one that I liked a lot.
Yeah, Magnolia Bark's got a good calming thing. I thought you needed a higher dose of Magnolia Bark than that. But obviously when things are in combination, you can sometimes get away with smaller dosages depending on the pathways and mechanisms of it. But I don't remember the exact Magnolia Bark dosage off the top of my head.
Well, there's also no standardization, which isn't the end of the world. But so we were just looking at Glaxon Tranquility. I think they use.
They have some in Serenity. I know they got Magnolia in that.
They use Magnolia, but they give you the standardization Yeah, I think it's Serenity.
And the reason they've got the arginine in there is there's some studies showing that when you stack arginine, and is it arginine and lysine or arginine and GABA, there's that increase in growth hormone release.
Yep.
I think it's arginine and lysine.
Yeah, so Glaxon uses 200 milligrams of Magnolia in Serenity, which if you guys have never used Serenity,
top notch.
Man, that product is awesome.
Yeah.
But they standardize it to the 90% Magnolol.
That's what it was, okay.
So that's what you're looking for, which does that mean that this one isn't? No, but we just don't know. So that's another reason why I like the Glaxons and Morphogens is if you ever look like how Mucuna, even though it's spelled wrong, right?
Mucana.
It says it's to 40% L-Dopa. That's actually really what you want to see. You want to see these ingredients,
correct,
especially the herbal like type extracts. You want to see what we're using them for.
Yeah.
Because like Mucuna, for example, we've seen there's 40% Mucuna, there's 90% Mucuna, there's 98% Mucuna. Yep. So you look at the dosage, and if something obviously is 98%, then you're getting much more. Say if you have Mucuna 500 milligrams, 98%, you're obviously going to be getting over twice as much L-Dopa from that. So those little details on the labels are pretty important.
Yeah. Yeah. Overall, this is the sleep formula is solid. I've never taken that much GABA before. I think the most I've ever done is 2 grams.
That's a lot of GABA, but GABA has a huge dosage range.
Yeah.
It's like
it also depends like how you react to it. Some people just don't react well to high dosages of GABA. Some do. I've never had an issue with it.
Well, people will get that. So one thing too, if you take a product like this, GABA, sometimes it gives you like a flushed sort of feeling, and it can really it can make your breathing feel
I was
weird.
Gonna say, like, you've mentioned that before, and I know Shane has too.
Yeah, so it's not dangerous. Basically, like what GABA is doing is it's an inhibitory neurotransmitter. It's basically like it's trying to slow your brain down more or less, which I think is what a lot of us struggle with. Is we're on our phones and all this other stuff constantly, so it's really hard to stop your brain from going. So that's kind of what GABA tries to do. But in doing that, it also almost like your body has almost like we don't really know exactly why, but it has almost this reaction to it where you'll feel like your breathing change. It's a little weird, man. It's definitely a little weird, but it seems to kind of go away too when you use it more frequently. So
yeah, it's a pretty well-rounded formula.
I've used it too. It works. It works pretty good.
Pre-workout, and I remember not being overly nuts about the thing.
It had DMHA in it, so it worked.
Yeah, 200 milligrams amino isoheptane.
Yeah, anything with 375 caffeine and 200 DMHA is it'll like if you use it, it almost doesn't matter what else is in it.
Yeah, I guess this is what I remember being the thing that was kind of irksome. Why even waste the space and put 1,000 milligrams of citrulline in there?
Yeah, because they have a pump formula, so it's like, why not? I get it.
Yeah, like that I don't like that. The stem profile, you're going to feel that. You'll absolutely feel that. The rest of this, I mean, estrogen can improve the bioavailability and the uptake of amino acids. Do I think it's going to have like a 3x multiplier to where 1 gram would be equivalent to like 3 or 4 grams? No.
As we know, like it's cool, like Robbie, stuff, he'll use like 8 grams of citrulline. We know that you can get plenty of benefits from citrulline. At lower dosages, 1 gram though, that's most of the stuff you see is 2, 3, 4 grams of citrulline. You want to be more in that area, but I agree. I don't know if but at the same time, it's like the way this space is. Sometimes you're putting things on a label,
correct,
for a certain reason. This product is caffeine, DMHA, and the Aerogenesis. That's what you're using it for. Yeah,
that's the sole reason for this. So I think that's why, like, if you just want to say it's a high stim or it's a stim only pre-workout or stim and focus, that's fine. But if you start trying to make these kind of things like this, Citrulline does boost nitric oxide levels, but not at 1 gram.
What's the I know too, like pricing on websites is always like a puzzle in itself.
Yeah.
So if he's saying $50 for 30 servings, and then you figure with sales and discounts and stuff like that.
I hope so, because you can get Morphogen's pre-workout for $48, and it's got 6 times the scoop size of this. Not literally 6 times the scoop size, but it's probably 3 times the scoop size.
Yeah, I've used I Prevail stuff, and it always performs well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. I gotta go. I'm gonna get going. I didn't realize how late it was.
Jiffy, do you plan to make your own line of supplements? Not anytime in the foreseeable future. I definitely do not. No.
Yeah,
I like having the ability to kind of like wheel and deal and shoot me and shake with a bunch of different companies. I find that kind of experience much more enjoyable. Would it be nice to have like be a partnership so you get a slice of the profits of the company? Yeah, but then you're also on the hook for a lot of other issues too that you may not want to have to deal with.
Yeah, this is a tough time to be in the supplement brand building space.
I would much rather be in the consultant side, being able to formulate right and do all those kind of things, and then not have somebody get their panties in a twist because I'm working with some other company or something like that. So
yeah,
it's nice.
And then it's like, well, we could talk about this forever, but it's like so say there's some things. You would probably, I don't know, like this is the way I feel. Like if I really thought I could bring out something like totally unique and stuff like that,
yeah,
then maybe. But then also as soon as you do, then it's just going to get ripped off by everybody else anyway. So then all of a sudden it's not unique anymore. So you really can't, just because you know about ingredients is not the reason to make a supplement line, I guess. Anymore, especially when you can be valuable in other ways without the headaches.
Correct. 100%. 100%. So, all right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate the support. If you got questions or topics for a future episode of the Bourbon Brothers, feel free to hit up Justin at Supplement Snoop on Instagram. Leave us a comment down below. Shoot me an email, thesupplementengineer@gmail.com. If you like what you're doing here, there we go. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, the notification bell, all that good happy horse shit. And my friend, it was good seeing you in person. Good to be back in the saddle doing the podcast. And we'll catch you all next time on Bourbon Brothers.
Oh, yeah.